Hello, this is Iron Bill back again with another video, and in this video I'd like to take a look at primarily the Necrochasm, but there will be some discussion about other weapons that will be changing with the new update coming in Season 23. And Bungie just released some information on Wednesday regarding particular weapons, and they go through a whole list of them, and you can check that out yourself. But I want to focus in on two weapons in particular because they kind of cover the same areas. They overlap in their ability, and that is the Osteostria and the Necrochasm. Now, the Necrochasm obviously is this season's weapon acquired from the raid, from the Crota raid, and you know, the big question has been, is it worth the get? Because it takes a few raids to get to it, unless you get lucky and get the grab bag, which with all of the essence that you need to acquire the Necrochasm itself and the catalyst. But for others, you have to go through multiple raids in order to get it. Now, granted, this is a better system than before, where, you know, in a strictly RNG system, you could be locked out of the weapon for a couple of seasons. There are people who still haven't gotten weapons from other raids that are RNG, and that's really a very poor system. But in this system, you do have to run multiple times, so the question is it worth the get? My opinion is yes, it is worth the get, but I am ridiculed by my clan members who think this gun is a joke. And the background play will show you that it's not as strong as the Osteostria would be in this situation, perhaps, but it is actually pretty good, you know, if you use it properly, and if you use it against the proper enemies. It's a bit more situational than the Osteostria, and that brings us to the Osteostria. The Osteostria has been around for a while now. It's an SMG, and the SMGs are in a very good place currently. Not quite as good as they have been, but they're still in a pretty good place in the Destiny sandbox. And the question is, why would you ever take anything over Osteostria that the Osteostria could do better? And that's a fair question. And, you know, Osteostria doesn't need any setup. I mean, and its poison effects last longer. The benefits of the big magazine are much better. It's truly a very, very powerful weapon. I call it the Swiss Army of all guns. It just does everything pretty well. But Bungie's about to take a look at that and knock it down. And if I could read just briefly from what Bungie has put, I'll read the one paragraph. It says, Osteostria has been, quite frankly, far too powerful for the ease of use it provides when it comes to add clear and PvE. It has more range than most other SMGs, does not require kills, and does not rely heavily on precision aim to activate one of the strongest AoEs we've ever had in Destiny. In addition, the lingering poison damage has benefited from the damage scaler that SMGs get in PvE content, which was intended to buff SMGs' direct impact damage. This scaler, which is one of the highest scalars of any weapon type in the game, is pushing that poison damage to such an extreme level that it's been difficult for any other weapon to compete in add clear role. While it is likely that this change will not move the needle on the Osteostria by a substantial amount, it will at least be slightly less of an outlier compared to the other add clear weapons. To preempt the argument, buffing other weapons up to the same level would be power creep to an extreme degree and very unhealthy for the game as a whole, so it is not something we are going to explore. So, what they are going to do about it is remove the SMG damage bonus scaler that was affecting the poison damage. That brings Osteostria poison down to match standard necrotic rep poison, though as an exotic it will still deal 40% damage against minors. In other words, if you use it a lot, Bungie will take it away. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. But the truth is, the argument is sound, and that is that they can't create weapons that get more and more powerful, because then they have to put in tankier and tankier bosses in content, and we've seen that impact. What that does is that pushes you further and further to the place where you can only use particular weapons. So there's no point in giving you other weapons that you can't use. That's the argument. So what they've done is they've just knocked back something that they felt like it shouldn't have had in the first place. They've let go for a long time. Its stay in the sun, as they would say, is over, and now they're going to allow other things to shine. Now, what are they going to do with Necrochasm? Well, with the Necrochasm, in the future, Necrochasm will be getting a buff to extend the duration of the poison damage over time effect it applies from the Cursed Thrall explosion. It will also have a new catalyst called One for Thrall, which grants a moderate period of increased damage, range, and aim assist again after you damage 3 enemies in quick succession. Damaging 3 more enemies while the perk is active refreshes the timer. Buffs. Okay, so honestly, that's a pretty good look, because in content such as what you're looking at here, what I would be doing is I would be spraying over a bunch of enemies to get the effect up, and there are plenty of enemies here, and I would keep that effect up all the time. I Warlock main, so I probably would have Necrotic Grip, so that would hopefully double the effect somewhat, and I'd be getting a lot of perks. In other words, it's something I could build into. And honestly, the One for Thrall catalyst sounds a whole lot better than the current catalyst that we have. And I haven't even bothered to get it yet, because my argument would be, unless I was just with a group of people that wanted to go for the catalyst for some reason, getting Outlaw on this gun isn't really worth gathering all the essence, unless you just like to raid. And I do like to raid, and I eventually will have the essences necessary to get it all completed, but and I would do it, but I'm not going to go out of my way to do it. You know, it's not a must-have deal. Now, One for Thrall perk that keeps my poison up all the time, now you're talking. That's something that I could see myself actually going for. So, honestly, I think the changes that are going to be coming to this are going to be pretty solid, and I look forward to Bungie actually coming through with that. So, on to the gameplay that you see. Now, we've moved to the area where we had been fighting the Fallen, and the gun was doing okay. It takes minors down fairly quickly. It's not as strong against majors as you would expect, but that's all right. Even Osteostria would take some time. The thing I like about this over the Osteostria is it actually, the rate of fire is pretty high, and it can really go super high. If you get the intrinsic perk going, and it's a Desperado-like perk is what it is. But it also, the fire gets downfield much quicker. With the Osteostria, it's kind of like a hose. I mean, you can fire in a direction, but if you move, you can see that the stream move and arc with it. This just shoots right down the line. I mean, the projectiles are quick. They hit your target fast. And, you know, if you have your Desperado, I'll call it, perk up, I mean, you really do wear stuff down in a hurry. So, the trick to this, though, is that you really do have to try to go for the crits. You have to go for the headshots. If you can get that, you can get a Thrall Explosion on anything. Now, I play PC, which means that the inherent instability in a gun of this archetype doesn't really hurt me as much. And so I'm able to actually fire hose down, and for the most part, if I aim head level, I'm going to get like the perk explosion, like right there. It's going to happen. So that's going to instantly refill my magazine, and it's going to give me my I wish I knew what it was called. It was like Despacito or something like that. I mean, it's an odd name. Now you see it's not doing very well against that major there. Well, that's okay, because that's not really what the gun's designed to do. It's not really supposed to take that down real fast, because why would you use any other weapon? Now you notice in this play I'm pairing this with the Gambit linear fusion, which is called, I'll pull that up real quick, that is called the Laser Painter. And I do like the Laser Painter. It's actually a good linear fusion, and the one I was using had auto-loading holster, which was the main thing that I was looking for on it, so that I could swap around. I was also pairing with a glaive, and that was more because I was trying to get some bounties done. But it actually pairs pretty well. Now you notice here in this situation where I catch them on spawn, this gun can be oppressive. I mean, it can just shut this stuff down like right now, and this is where it really shines. And I would argue that the gun actually slaps, you know, at this stuff. Osteostria is not going to do that any better. I mean, that's honestly just some super stuff there. And not a thing is going to get out of that. I mean, honestly. Now, I'll get a couple of majors that'll pop up in a moment, obviously. And the gun won't take them down as quickly, but that's why you have other weapons with you. to handle it. So, and yeah, here we go. So you see I start on it, and I wear the perk out and take their shields off, put a grenade on them. Then it's time to just finish hosing them off. And that's that. A grenade's all it took to assist. Now I could have gone down there with a glaive and I could have stopped that too. Or used my laser painter. Yeah. Alright, so now we're going to the boss fight. And this is going to be a little mix of everything here. And you can see I catch them on spawn again, but that's going to continuously spawn. I get my explosion. What I'm trying to do is help my teammates keep ads down a little bit here. And just give them some space, because I am using primarily an ad clear weapon, and I wanted to really try to just use it against everything and see what it would do. Because I've been told over and over, of course, this gun's no good, no good, no good, and I just don't feel that way. I felt like I could be effective with it. Now, there are things it can and can't do, and in this particular case, you want to kill those captains super fast so you can get the orbs to progress the encounter. But in terms of the ad clear and keeping a clear lower deck, at least the miners, it does a very good job of that. Now, what I need to do is get up there with my glaive and just chop that guy down, and it would be over for him. But again, I wanted to see what it would do, and it takes a couple of clips. That's what I would expect an ad clear weapon to do against majors. All right, so we're coming up to the end here, and yep, we've got the boss ready to go. Again, I'm trying to kill ads enough that I can proc the perk. I'm looking, there's my explosion, but I don't, there's my ad. Okay, and I unload on him. Yeah. It's time to finish this off. So I jump up here and he's over my head. I just noticed it, like, oops, I'm in the wrong spot. And just as I get a couple shots into him, he's going to move. He's all but dead. It's time for the super. And there you go. That's the end of that. So, conclusion. Is this gun as good as an Osteostria right now for ad clear? No, it's not. It really chiefly works best against Hive. But if you're against Hive enemies, then this is actually, in my opinion, an S tier weapon in terms of ad clear. My opinion, and that your mileage may vary very much on that, and my clan's quite frankly does. So anyway, looking forward to the changes. So with that, this is Iron Bill signing off.